So, this weekend it is Yuri and Artemis on the rare Invocation of the Spirits banner. We also have Rygar and Thalon. Last week we had Silas and Edith. We've just come off Christmas and New Year, where we've had Wukong, Ingrid and Ardea. Going back, we've had banner after banner after banner. Question is it too many? What's happening, YouTube and Transient? Welcome to my channel. So, like I was saying, we've had a lot of banners, and I just thought it might be an interesting discussion as to whether we're currently having too many banners, or is this just right? I believe my arguments fall more on the side of on the situation being just right, and I'd like to explain a little bit why I feel that way. Now, some of the issues that people have with the amount of banners that we're having are, for example, we're having lots of new banners, but they're all legendaries and there are no new epics. The most obvious one is because these banners are coming week after week after week, there's apparently no time to save. Also, because of these banners, a lot of these banners, they're all 15x. On, for example, the Silas banner, you could be on an A0 Silas, or you might be going for an A0 Silas and come out with an A3 Cratch. It's very possible. And then many other issues that people have with the banners. Now, personally, I'd like to think of myself as a little bit of a glass half full sort of person. And because I'm a glass half full sort of person, and because I enjoy this game, I generally look at it in a more positive light. So let me say some of the reasons why I think the amount of banners we're having is perfectly fine and probably a good idea. So let's see. First of all, longevity. This game has been out for, I think it's about a year and a half or so. I haven't been playing for a year and a half. I haven't even reached a year yet. I started playing on the week, I remember it quite clearly. It was a weekend that Captain Reeve came out. Just randomly saw the advert on YouTube, and I was like, oh, I need a new game from the other gacha game I was playing, which interestingly enough, I've been playing for 5 years, and I needed a new game. So I quit that game and came over to this game. Now, longevities. As you can say, I want a game that I can play for a considerable amount of time. And obviously, so far I have not quite yet reached a year. This game hasn't been out for a year and a half yet, I do not believe. But in order for a game like this to have longevity, we're not supposed to get every single hero the week it comes out. That doesn't make any sense. If you get every single hero, I mean, first of all, we've already, at least for a lot of people with the heroes they already have completed all the content. If they can complete all the content, and get every single hero every single time it comes out, it kind of, there's nothing left to play for. So, and so in my mind, it makes sense that the more banners that come out week after week after week, it doesn't give people the opportunity to get all the best heroes whenever they come out. It means that there's something for them to play for at a later date. For example, I have Praetus and I have Valderon, but I don't have Ingrid. Obviously, Ingrid came on the banner 2 weeks after Praetus. I put everything I had into Praetus. There was nothing left for Ingrid. I still want Ingrid, so I'm going to keep playing this game, because one of the things that will keep me playing is that at some point I want to get Ingrid. So that's one of the at least that's one of the reasons why I think having many banners isn't a problem. 2, a lot of players have, or at least there's at least a mindset among some people that they think, in a similar way to the longevity argument, that they should get every hero that comes out. Now, I actually think it's in fact better that, not obviously in the way that players feel that, oh, they can't get the hero they want and so on, but I think it's better that not everyone necessarily does get all the heroes every single banner. Because obviously as time goes on, let's say 2 years, 3 years, the more and more heroes there are, if people aren't, unless of course you've got your pay to win guys, but you're just your average players who spend a little bit of money but not too much here and there, but they're able to get a good amount of the heroes, but not necessarily all of them, then not every account is going to look the same. And also further down the line, because not every account is going to look the same, there could at least be some varied strategies for how to complete content. Now obviously you could argue that if you've got every single hero, then you could come across with the varied strategies because you've got every hero to choose from. But I think if you're forced into that position by not having all the heroes, and you're having to come up with new strategies based on the ones you've got, I think that adds to the game. Now obviously you've got to also understand that obviously Moonton wants new players they want new players every week, every month, every year. They want to keep adding players, and obviously whenever a new player comes on, they obviously haven't been playing since day one, so it's going to take them a lot longer to get all the, if you will, older players. They're more likely to get the newer, not older players, the older heroes. They're more likely to get all the newer heroes. And so for them, unless those older heroes are still so overpowered compared to new ones, they're more likely to be looking for the new ones and so on. Then at some point further down the line, they may come across the older ones. But I think in terms of having a variety of accounts, not that most people don't necessarily care about other people's accounts, but I think in terms of for the game and for even for content further down the line, I think it helps to have at least to force the variety of accounts. That's just an argument. Now, also, what tends to happen if, let's say, Moonton decided to reduce the amount of banners, the player base would complain, or at least it seemed likely to me that the player base would complain by the fact that there would not be enough content. They're already not particularly happy with the amount of content there currently is. If you take away the amount of heroes coming in, consequently, the player base will require that there is more content in the game, full stop. And if you can understand my argument, what the current balance that we currently have in terms of content and heroes is the heroes keep players interested. Ooh, what's coming up this week? What's coming up next week? If you reduce that, and with the current level of content, players will not be happy. They will say to Moonton that because you reduce the amount of heroes, you need to give us more things to actually do. So that's why I think keeping the banners going keeps people interested in what's happening, what's coming, what's going on. And then at the same time, they can try their best to feed us more content for the current heroes that we currently have. I feel that the recent changes to the pity system, where pity has gone from 220 to, or at least soft pity, from 220, or from 200, the soft pity, super pity was from 200 to 180. I think this has been a thing to allow for the increase in banners. So yes, we've got more and more banners, but technically it's a little bit easier, or cost a little bit less in terms of resources to get a new legendary, or at least to hit the pity. Now, another thing is you could argue that, or some people have argued about the issue around FOMO. Is FOMO a good thing? I personally think FOMO is actually a good thing. It fuels the game. It's what keeps people playing. Obviously, you've got your content creators who create hype around any new hero coming out, but FOMO makes a lot of players spend money when they don't necessarily have to, and also keeps them, feeds that part of the brain which is to a certain extent a little bit like gambling, but that's what gachas are. So you fear that, oh, like for example, Yuri comes out tomorrow, but we also know that Beelzebub comes out probably next weekend. What do? Do you save for Beelzebub, or do you go after Yuri? Now, depending on how good Yuri is, you might decide, actually no, I'm gonna save for Beelzebub. But let's say you made the decision to pull a little bit for Yuri. Let's say you had 300 summons and you put 150 summons in and didn't get Yuri. After 200 summons, let's say after 250 summons you get Yuri, but then you've got only 50 summons left. Will that be enough for Beelzebub? But then what happens then is you might spend some money to get Beelzebub, or you may just have to miss out and hope to pull him in the next banner, and therefore you keep the cycle going. I just believe it's one of those things about gacha games which I think is a requirement, which is why it makes sense that Moonton puts out banner after banner after banner, as long as the heroes look good and play good and do a lot of damage. Yeah, I think if I could sit down and even spend more time, I'm sure I could come up with even more arguments why I think Moonton having so many banners is a positive thing for the life of this game. But I'm just going to leave it there for now. I don't know. I might think about some more arguments and maybe put them in at the end of the video later down the road on a different day. But yeah, I think I'll leave it at that. Alright guys, whatever you are doing, actually, alright guys, hopefully some of those arguments made sense to you. I'd be curious to know if you agree with any of them. Or to be honest, I'd be interested in hearing your arguments about why you think perhaps we shouldn't have so many banners. I'd love to hear your arguments in the comments. Feel free to put them below. I'd be really interested to hear. And yeah, have a lovely weekend everyone. Whatever you're doing, do it well. I'm Transient, and I'm out.